everybody, it's your boy Edo the Rocket. Welcome to the first ever Edo the Rocket book club. And today I'm going to be taking you through some of my favorite book related pickups that I've had in 2022. I'm going to kick things off with Stephen King's Fairytale. I'm a huge Stephen King fan and I love his old stuff, the classic books in the past, but I've also been keeping up with his more recent stuff. So I've read all the books that he put out in recent years, like Later, If It Bleeds, The Institute, and to be honest, I love them just as much as the old stuff. I find it easy to sort of slip into the rhythm of reading his books, and Fairytale, I think, is actually one of his best recent books. It tells the story of a teenage boy who befriends a reclusive old man who has a dog, and which the boy becomes attached to. And as the boy spends more time in the house, he begins to realize that the house has a surprising secret kept in the backyard in the shed, which the title of the book perhaps is a bit of a clue as to the contents of what's in there. I'm about 2/3 of the way through this book, and as I said, it's actually one of my favorite ones that he's written in recent years. And although I've managed to stay spoiler-free for the ending, the general sentiment that I've picked up from Stephen King communities and Reddit forums and so on is that it's actually got quite a surprisingly satisfying ending. So I'm really looking forward to finding out what happens when I get to the end of the story. The next thing I want to show you guys is a pair of books that were released for the 40th anniversary of fighting fantasy. So I've got here Ian Livingstone's Shadow of the Giants and also Steve Jackson's Secrets of Salamonis. Now, these two game books were written by the original authors of the Fighting Fantasy series, which, yes, as I mentioned, is in its 40th anniversary. These two particular editions, I actually am quite a big fan of. I think a lot of the reprints of the original Fighting Fantasy books have somewhat, lost the charm of the original print run in terms of the artwork and so on. But I was actually very happy with these two copies. I think they look great. And in terms of the two adventures that they tell, I think they're quite disparate in the experiences. The Ian Livingstone one, for an example, has quite a long sprawling introductory passage before it gets on with it, whereas the Steve Jackson one just throws you straight in there where you wake up and there is a creature deciding if it wants to eat you or not. Both of them are pretty good fun to play through. I don't think they necessarily hit the heights of the original Death Trap Dungeon or Warlock of Firetop Mountain, but I thought they were actually pretty fun and enjoyable and a nice way to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Fighting Fantasy series. The next book I wanted to show you guys, this one was a pickup that I had from a book fair that one of our local churches in the area had, and that is a copy of The Silmarillion by JRR Tolkien. Now, what's significant about this particular copy here is it turns out this is actually a first edition. So although I picked it up for $4, I looked it up online, confirmed its authenticity, and it turns out this book here, with the map included as well, is actually worth around about $250. So that was kind of a neat surprise. I've only just recently sort of started focusing on building out my collection of Tolkien books, and I thought this was actually a really neat little way to sort of, I guess, get me sort of engaged with Tolkien books. I've tried a couple of times with reading The Silmarillion and bounced off it. I'm probably not going to read it via this first edition. I want to just try and keep that in as good a condition as possible. But yeah, I think with everything with the new Amazon TV show and everything like that, I'm kind of in the mood for reading more Tolkien stuff, and especially more of his work that's not Lord of the Rings and not The Hobbit. So I'll keep you guys posted on how I go. The next book I wanted to show you guys is The Apollo Murders by Chris Hadfield. I'm a big Chris Hadfield fan. I think he is a terrific science communicator, and for those of you who may not know him, he is best known as the Canadian astronaut that sung a David Bowie song up in the International Space Station. I've read some of his non-fiction work, and he is actually a terrific writer, and for me, the Apollo Murders is a fictional book that he has written about a murder that takes place in the International Space Station, but I'm a huge fan of the murder mystery genre, and so to have a book written by someone like Hadfield, where it mixes his experience and authenticity of his time in space and his knowledge of how all of that works, and mixing that up with a murder mystery, I think is actually a pretty cool concept. So I haven't had a chance to read this one yet, but I'm looking forward to it very much. The next books I wanted to show you guys is just a series of books where I've been picking up some of the Agatha Christie Harper Collins series, the Facsimile editions, where they've actually reprinted the original covers for these books from when they were first printed many decades ago. So I have a copy of every single Agatha Christie book. I believe there's about 90 in total. So I'm very fortunate to have a copy of each of those. But for some of my favorite ones, I'm actually quite enjoying picking up these facsimile editions. I think the covers on them are very striking. And so I've got, earmarked, there's about 20 or so that I think are some of my favorite Hercule Poirot, favorite Miss Marple ones, and favorite standalone books. And with a bit of luck, these facsimile editions, that you can generally pick them up for about sort of $20 a piece if you're just sort of patient and look for them online. So I've been working my way through collecting those, and hopefully I'll have a few more to add to the collection soon enough. The next book I wanted to show you guys is actually a graphic novel. So this one is called The Last Ronin, and this book here was actually written by Eastman and Laird, so it is, as you can see, it is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book. It was originally a series of 5 comic books published by IDW, and it's quite an interesting story. It's sort of set in the future. It is a story that is completely disconnected continuity-wise from any existing Ninja Turtles lore, and what it is, it's a story where 3 out of the 4 Ninja Turtles are actually dead, only 1 remains, and the Foot Clan have taken over New York, and so that sole surviving turtle goes on what feels like a pretty futile suicide mission to have one last go at bringing down the Foot Clan. I think it is a really well-written graphic novel. I blitzed through this thing the first day that the book arrived, and enjoyed it immensely. I've never actually read a Ninja Turtles comic before, but this one, to me, I enjoyed it so much, I'm actually considering reading some more because it really got its hooks in me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I had read a lot of buzz about this particular book, and yeah, I can really recommend it. So if you are in any way a Ninja Turtles fan, I think The Last Ronin is definitely worth going out of your way to picking up. And the last thing I wanted to show you guys, and this is probably one of my favorite pickups of the year, and this is, I've picked up my first ever leather-bound version of a Brendan Sanderson book. I have here a copy of Elantris. Now, I am a huge Brendan Sanderson fan. I've got just about his entire collection of books in paperback. I've gradually been working my way through picking up some of my favorites on hardcover, but obviously the most cherished of his publications is the Leatherbound series, and holy cow, this is my first one, and even though I had high expectations of the quality of the book, I was just blown away. They are just bound and put together beautifully. The artwork inside is so striking, and if you are a fan of his work, it's just so nice to have, a copy of one of his best books, Elantris, and have it in such fantastic condition. I'm just so pleased that he's done this print run, and with a little bit of patience over time, because they're very expensive to ship over to Australia, I'm hoping to pick up a few more of his Leatherbound series, so perhaps Mistborn and also Warbreaker is sort of on the horizon for me as ones that I would like to pick up. Anyway, that's the collection that I've had lately in terms of book pickups. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, throw me a thumbs up, and also let me know in the comments if you liked any of those particular books or have read any of them and have any feedback. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.